Testing, testing, this one. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm going to stand in front because my hands get in the way of everything when I'm signing, so I don't want to bump anyone. Could be dangerous signing up here on the panel. My name is Gutzke, and I'm from the U.S. I'm from Minnesota, and I'd like to introduce our panel today, so we'll start with Allie.
Hello everyone, my name is Ali. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of DeafTawk, which is a digital sign language interpretation services.
Okay, now I'd like James to go ahead and introduce himself.
Hi, I'm James Ong'ang'a from Kenya. I'm the CEO and founder of LoHo Learning. Pleasure to be here.
All right. And Michal, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Michal Obložinský. I'm CEO of the Deafcom, the provider of the platform for video relay service and video remote interpretation.
Okay, now I'm going to stand up again. And I'm a white, middle-aged male in my 50s, early 50s, with a beard and a shiny jacket. Yeah? And I have white flowers on this jacket. Okay, is my PowerPoint ready for me? If we could get the PowerPoint up. All right. So I'm the founder and senior executive director for ThinkSelf. And we're a nonprofit organization based in Minnesota. Next slide, or do I have the remote power? Yay, I found it. Okay, ThinkSelf in ASL means up to you. So we have been working for 40 years as a nonprofit, grassroots organization developing the deaf community. And they often experience language deprivation. So we provide resources, education, support to deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing Minnesotans. We're the only deaf-specific nonprofit organization leading and running for and by deaf individuals to provide adult basic education and also domestic violence support to survivors, victims. We have employed 37 deaf individuals that have worked with us. And currently, we have 7 staff members who are deaf. 30 of them have developed their skills and have moved on to go into the workforce in other organizations, in state government, federal government. So I'm very proud of the people that we have worked with and that have moved on from working with us. With adult education in Minnesota, Minnesota is famous for a lot of people moving into the state from refugee camps or for asylum. We provide instruction, resources, support, and we really want to improve the literacy for them to become citizens, Americans, in the U.S. So we work with people who've experienced violence or family violence, war violence, intimate partner violence, and how we collaborate with the mainstream services in the community to provide them access to the system is very unique. So access to housing, access to justice, to safety, and to health. Our use of technology is all around the region and state of Minnesota is probably standard, everyday, average European country. We provide technology often in times that maybe they can't afford technology themselves. We provide laptops, we provide iPads, and video phones. Our office, the staff are all deaf, again, so we use technology to communicate with hearing people who come and visit our office. We also bring in specialized trauma-informed interpreters. And we have a dedicated IT staff member who is deaf, who understands what deaf people need for technology and technology access. So we also are looking for low-cost solutions. And I've met so many people here today, this week, and it's so exciting to see the different technology that you have brought to Zero Project. So when you think about victims of crime, or victims of sexual assault or rape, victims of family violence and oppression, you have to think about how do we provide services to individuals and tools that are language deprived. Individuals who have had trauma happen to them, and we want to make sure that we don't continue to re-traumatize them through using sign language interpreters. Okay, so we help to break down barriers, and everyone loves printed materials. That's never going to change, but we do provide some online dictionaries, online resources, and we also often have people who provide services for refugees. Oh, people who have to leave their violence situations. And maybe they have to go to a women's shelter, or maybe they have to go to a program designed for people of sexual assault. Deaf people in the deaf community is small, and so we have to collaborate with other programs, other agencies to provide these services. So we provide the shelters with hearing alarms, bed shake-awakes, iPads for interpreters, and other resources. So we also partner with hospitals in the state of Minnesota. So if there's a rape victim, we help them through that services. Then we have an iPad that includes an interpreter, includes trauma-informed tools to help reduce the effects of the trauma. We use text-to-speech. And I was inspired by many of your AI tools that you have here. And so I want to figure out how I can use your tools in the services that we provide. And remember, just the little things like a game of Tetris is proven to help reduce harm, trauma-informed harm. So we use that and allow our patients to play that when they're in processing in the hospital. So if any of you want to chat with me, you know where to find me. I have the sparkly loud jacket on, so please come and find me. So now I'd like to turn it over to Ali to talk about your AI interpreting. So let's hear from Ali.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it's a pleasure working with you guys and working for persons who are hearing impaired. I myself blind, so that's one disclaimer, so please don't raise your hand. My founder, my colleague, Wamik Hassan, he's deaf, so I will just call upon my founder to use the clicker for myself. Wamik? Yes. So, as everybody knows, I'm Ali. So Wamik is my eyes, and I'm the ears for him. And that's why we started DeafTawk, in order to bridge the communication gap for the deaf community. Let me introduce my co-founder, Wamik Hassan, who was born deaf in Pakistan. There was no sign language interpreter facilities, and he faced humongous barriers in Pakistan. But his family can afford, he can move to US, avail that facility, and he became the first software engineer in Pakistan who did the computer science engineering. He worked there sometimes and came back to Pakistan after 15 years and realized the challenge was still there. And he was not alone. If we talk about the global population size of persons who are hearing impaired, deaf and hard of hearing, it's 466 million, out of which 70 million people require sign language interpretation services every single day in order to communicate with the doctors, with teachers, or with general public. But irony is, for 8,000 deaf users, only one sign language interpreter is there. And out of which, if we talk about the global South population, which includes Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, 90% of deaf people unable to read, which means they cannot access to websites, written content, and many other information accessibility. So we are here to bridge that particular gap, and we have two major products. One is a mobile application, and other is DT360AI, which is an AI solution. We are operating in both B2B and B2C domain, which means we work directly with persons who are hearing impaired and deaf, and moreover, we are working with the corporate sector, clients, government, educational institutes. We are operating in 5 markets, which includes Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Denmark, and US, and looking forward to launching new avenues later on. Here is just a screenshot or use case of how you can use our mobile application. Deaf user can easily log on with one click. He can find or she can find the interpreter, or if they are in a doctor or hospital setting, he can easily communicate and share their pain points. And we have certain features of the mobile application as well, because we are targeting a very undermined population of global South, which lacks not only the interpretation, but technology at itself. So we have VoIP service, which means they can utilize our mobile application without internet, and those have no smartphone facility through that. And we have a group calling facility as well. For example, during the COVID time, deaf person unable to visit physically, so now with the group calling features, they can have interpreter one side, and with doctor, teachers, shopkeepers, anyone whom they want to communicate, they can bring in without the smartphone or mobile application ability with them. Now comes the real hero, which we always want to be, which is an AI solution which translates from text to sign and voice to sign. Currently, we are operating in 3 languages, which is English to American Sign Language, Urdu to Pakistani Sign Language, and Tamil to Tamil and Sahala Sign Language. So these are the languages currently, and lastly, we just launched the Danish to Danish Sign Language. So these are the 4 languages which we are operating in our ASL, and these are tapping those population size which are unable to read and write, particularly for the deaf communities of the global South. So in that way, now they can access to websites, mobile application, and many other written content, such as watching the Netflix movie, or having a news channel, real-time sign language interpretation through an avatar. Well, we have operated for the last 4 years. Here are some stats how we are operating, but we really want to emphasize on the impact what we generated in the markets. More than 97,000 deaf users been using our services, and they are in the vertical of education, employment opportunities, like 1,200 deaf users got employment opportunities by using our services. We also provide direct job opportunities to 1,800 sign language interpreters, and we have rendered 1.5 million minutes of sign language interpretation services. Here are some key clients, global clients, which we are working for last 4 years, such as Facebook, Singapore International Airlines, DBS Bank, you name it, we have a client in order with it. This is our founding team. we all are persons with disability ourselves. We know the pain points, and that's why we started DeafTawk, in order to bridge the communication gap for the deaf community and to be the Google translator for the deaf community. We really want to now launch our services in the Latin American markets or African markets, and those deaf people organizations or any individuals who want to collaborate with us for that particular launch in African or Latin American markets, you know, our stall is outside that room. We all are here and we can collaborate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ali. That was an inspiring talk, and talking with you today. We have, to have a pocket interpreter would be amazing. Ooh, I can talk to anyone now. So thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing that happen in my lifetime. All right, let's turn it over to James and hear your story.
Thank you. I want to teach you Kiswahili salutation. So if I say jambo, you say jambo back. Jambo? Thank you. I'm James from Kenya. I'm 184 centimeters tall with some hair on my beard. I'm wearing an all-white African attire with some touch of gold. So LoHo Learning is my presentation up. I'll do a short presentation, then I'll share a video of our solution in action. So if it's somewhere, it can be shared. Okay. So LoHo Learning is an application that provides digital education to learners. Our main focus is K through to 12. The main hindrance for future of work for learners with disability is access to education, and that's they're very disadvantaged, especially in the global south, Kenya and the other sub-Saharan African countries. Our main focus is to create inclusive education for them by translating the core textbooks in Kenya Sign Language and also providing them in ODB equipment for the blind learners. So we come from a background of publishing, and most of the time in the private sector, publishing industry don't do content for those that have disability because not a huge market for them. Part of our shareholding is by Longhorn, which is an existing publishing house since 1964, and we were brought up from Longhorn to develop technology that can focus on learners in this specific area. It's much easier to do so using technology. So far what we've done is we've taken our core textbooks in all learning areas and translated them in Kenya Sign Language, ensuring that learners that are deaf are able to also get this content, and we do that for multiple publishers. The other thing we've done is we use AI bots as well to scale the translation of these particular books. Lastly, we've also developed the books into a format that can be read on ODB readers. So far, this technology is being used in 342 schools across Kenya. Our plan is to scale this into Uganda and other sub-Saharan African countries. 26% of these schools are for the deaf and blind learners who are using this content. And we've seen the technology roll up to adult education, focusing on their parents as well. And this has improved on foundational literacy and numeracy. But not only that, we also have begun introducing them to digital literacy programs, to ensuring that they have a future of work in technology. So introducing simple things as using Google Search, creating a WhatsApp page or WhatsApp channel, setting up your business presence online using Google My Business and things like that. So we also do that for their adult learners. What you're looking for in this event is, of course, to collaborate with other partners who have done similar projects. Like a partnership with DeafTawk would be something very interesting for us to become a path to them into sub-Saharan Africa. We're also looking for development partners who can help us scale this. Translating our books into Kenya Sign Language, Uganda Sign Language, Rwandan Sign Language is very expensive because there's a few differences in each and every language. And Africa has so many languages. So having partners that can help us scale that would be very important. We're also looking for publishers who want to license some of their content for us to give this audience a variety of resources. We can translate a book about dinosaurs. We can translate a book about pyramids in Egypt. We can translate books about Beethoven and all those stories that are in Europe. So we're looking for such publishers who are willing to move into this space. And we're also looking to build scalable AI solutions to support sign language across Africa. So as I mentioned, we also want to adopt this for mainstream schools, especially targeting different curriculums within the African countries. We invite all of you to join us in this amazing story. These are our details. So my colleague Priscillah was supposed to present this, so you'll get our email there and our phone number, and that's our website. Join me after this, and let's see how we can collaborate together to make learning more inclusive. So I invite you to watch this video and see how our technology works in classes.
Hi, I'm Priscillah Mokua, Head of Accessibility and Inclusivity at LoHo Learning. And this year we have been honored to get an award from Zero Project. Across Kenya and Sub-Saharan Africa, countless number of learners who are deaf and hard of hearing have lacked an opportunity to get quality education. At LoHo Learning, we are providing ebooks, interactive tools for the learners who are deaf and hard of hearing. And we are not just stopping at that. We are also empowering parents with tools to be able to communicate with the learners. And also, the teachers are not left behind as they use these tools in class to be able to educate the learners. To further this mission, we have also partnered with Kilimanjaro Blind Trust, and now we have extended our reach to the visually impaired and blind learners to be able to distribute the content. Together, we can create a future where no learner is left behind. Join us in this journey of empowerment and inclusivity. Support LoHo Learning today and help us bridge the gaps in education for deaf, hard of hearing, and visually impaired learners. Let us transform lives, one learner, one family, and one classroom at a time.
Thank you very much. Asante sana.
That was really inspiring. Thank you so much. As a lifelong learner myself, and the people that we serve who are deaf adults, I would like to see an opportunity to be able to collaborate with you and learn more about how we could, share our stories, and our deaf learners can learn how to tell their stories as well. So that's awesome. Very important to cultural stability and self-empowerment, and self-esteem. So thank you. That's awesome. All right. So let's go to Michal.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michal Obložinský. I am CEO of the Deafcom. We are a Prague-based company which is focusing on creation of the solution for video remote services, video remote interpretation services, and text relay services. During During our history, we processed over 100,000 interpreting sessions, and we are still growing. What we do, we offer mainly two services. The first service, that in Czech Republic, we have our own call center of the interpreters, which we use for making companies accessible, and we cooperate, for example, with the biggest bank in Czech Republic, part of the Erste Group, which has our application in all of their branches. So when the deaf person will come to their branch, they can immediately connect with the interpreter and get basically barrier-free communication with the bank. We also have projects like, for example, accessible hospitals, where our solution is implemented in hospitals, and if the deaf is in emergency and need to go to the hospital and don't have the interpreter, we have very easy solution where the deaf, just by scanning the QR code, can get immediately to the interpreter and again have sign language interpretation. And then we have the second service, because during when we worked and provided the interpretation in Czech Republic, we learned how hard it is to create such a solution and such a platform for services and video relay services, video remote interpreting services, and lastly, text relay services. So we decided to start offering our platform to organizations which are running such services around the world. Currently, we are mainly in Europe, and we are operating in a couple of the European countries. We are, for example, in Estonia, Portugal, Iceland, Slovakia, Lithuania, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, and we have a very small project in Germany. Last year, we were, for example, awarded as the Accessibility Project of the Year in Estonia, which is great for us and a big thing. And what our solution consists of? It's mobile and web application for the deaf users. It's the specialized platform for the accessible contact points and the module for the interpreters and administrators. We bring multiple benefits to the deaf people around the world. One of them is that the deaf person can make an income phone call in very similar way how as hearing person is just going through interpreter. We have specialized platform for the interpreters to make their work I would not say easier, but more efficient. They don't need to spend time with administrative work because things like the report, easy interface and things like that, it's done automatically with our solution, and they can really focus mainly on interpretation. And this is very important mainly when we look at the huge shortage of the interpreters. Then every increase of the capacity of the interpreters can have huge impact. Then there are multiple benefits for the administrators and for public and private institutions. For the administrators, they can be sure that they have secure platform, they have real-time monitoring of the service, they can see how the interpreters, how deaf people are satisfied with the interpreters, and basically all of the data they would need to run their service properly. And the last part, which is they can create any institution accessible just by 2 clicks. Directly from the administration, where just by 2 clicks they can create accessible info line of any institution or generate QR code or specialized interface of the app which can be implemented in any public or private organizations. For example, like we are doing for the Erste in Czech Republic. In 2024, we processed over 30,000 interpreting sessions. Our solution across Europe were implemented in 40 public and private institutions. And we have a couple of the key points where we need to focus and where we will be focusing. We have great investors. We have the national recognition. So for example, in Estonia, Slovakia, or Lithuania, we are delivering platform for their national services. We have a project like accessible hospitals, and where we would like to go further is, of course, more countries, but also the solutions like connection to 112, provide emergency services in broader range, and basically improve the solution and keep improving it all the time. In the future, when we're looking for the future in 2025, we know that we will be processing over 100,000 interpreting sessions. More, we see the interest from the contact points and institutions to implement our solution. And as we will grow, and we see the bright future in front of us. So this is about the Deafcom. I would say that our main mission is to empower the deaf leaders who want to run, deaf leaders and interpreters who want to run or are very close to the video relay service, video remote interpretation service, or maybe also text relay services. And they can have the great platform which they can use, and they can create much better accessibility for the deaf people, because we know that there is multiple services around the world, and very often they're used, for example, general communication tool, but that's not something what bring the high accessibility for the deaf, because the deaf have special needs, and we have to respect that needs, and also the platform development needs to respect all of deaf needs. So that's why we are here, and thank you very much for your attention, and happy to meet with anybody of you who would be interested.
Michal, that explanation of the barriers, those are barriers I've seen myself, experienced myself, and we also have a severe interpreter shortage in the U.S. So I can see how this could really benefit our deaf community, because access to interpreting is really declining, even though technology is advancing. But the actual human potential of work is declining. So being able to have this kind of technology is really important. Yeah, I think now Petra is the last person that we're gonna, and then we'll open a Q&A. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and do a Q&A. So if there's any questions from the audience, I will go ahead and entertain those now. It's very quiet in here. All right, here is the question.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Amira. I work for GIZ Egypt. And I'm very interested in the expansion models. So, for example, Ali, we're talking about potentially extending to Africa, etc. And I think with most of the solutions, it could function in other countries too. It would be interesting to know what kind of factors are needed. So what is it like, what does it take to extend to another country, especially outside of Europe, with a different language like Arabic, for example? Is this something of interest? And also, is it about funding? Is it about like collaboration in the sense of access to the local market? How do you see this? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's an amazingly good question. And when we talk about expansion, we always talk about the collaboration. That's the core value we always explain with. Whenever we talk in expansion related to sign language element, so we have to understand the local energy of that interpretation models, because sometimes some countries have their own regional sign language or national sign languages, but most of them, particularly if we talk about the global south, they have indigenous or their ethnic sign language interpretation services. So, which is, we want to have collaboration with those, particularly deaf people organizations, sign language interpretation groups, or access to those interpreters who want to earn. And particularly, we have a very mutual earning model with DPOs, with the sign language interpretation with 80-20% costing. So it's not about we need the funding, we provide them the funding, but we need the collaboration or build the capacity of DPOs, how to utilize that technology, how to integrate that AI solutions in with the corporate sector, and how to be a financial stable for them, so they don't remain for the grants, but have self-sustained earning model for their advocacy element, as well as facilitation for the deaf community. So yes, we definitely want to expand to the MENA region, particularly if we talk about Egypt and Africa, North Africa part. So that's why our go-to market is Africa, because we belong to this community. We know what challenges they are facing. And more importantly, we are here to empower the deaf community. So why not from Africa and the Latin American markets?
And maybe also from the Deafcom, like we have very similar view of the situation. We work a little bit differently. How we work is that we have the platform which I believe that any organization around the world can use. It always requires some customization, because we know that in every country there are specifics. It can be legal specifics. It can be specifics of the for example, needs of the deaf community. It can be different in every country, and we know that we have to respect that. But we also know that in most countries there are people or already call centers of the interpreters who are able to run such a service, and they just need to be empowered by great technology, because they are professionals in interpretation, in communication with deaf community, in all of this together, and we will never be in that level. Like we know that we would be always outsiders, but we can provide them technology, and they can focus on their work, and we can take care of the technology. So basically, they don't need to focus on the things where they are not professionals, but they can focus only on things where they are professionals. So, thank you.
Okay, I think I'd like to make a comment, and also we need to recognize collaboration is the most important thing that we can do to remove barriers. We can't do this work alone, so collaboration is so important. All right, I think there's another question. The person with the red glasses?
Yes. Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm from the United States, and my question is for Michal. You mentioned that deaf people have different needs. And as a deaf person myself, there are those of us who speak and who don't use sign language. So my question to you is, how do you see a space in the Deafcom to accommodate the communication needs of us who speak, because, for example, in America, we have a captioned telephone. So I can pick up the phone, talk on the phone with my own voice, and read. I can hear, but I can also read. So do you have the space for us as well? Thank you.
In our platform, what we have is that we also have the real-time text. So the people can basically, and the real-time text, it can be in like two ways. One is the automatic transcription, and one can be like the transcription through like the real professional. We have solution for this. Currently, we are mainly focused on the sign language interpretation, but also have the solution for this where a person can make a call, use own voice, and what the hearing party is responding, they can read in their device, where they have our solution. So how we look at this is that when we cooperate with some organization, they usually know what service they need to provide, or what service they are able to provide, not need, but are able to provide at the time, and what are the specifics of their service. And we try to focus on that, and basically we are creating our solution in very modular way. So it's possible to turn on and turn off different features or parts of the system very quickly. So if somebody wants to have only sign language interpretation or are able to provide only sign language interpretation, we respect that. If they want to provide other services, we always look at it, how we can help them to provide that.
Thank you for that question. That was amazing because I didn't learn sign language until I was 18 years old. And so I spent the first part of my life using speech only and lip reading in class, and I didn't know sign language. So thank you for that question. But at this time, we have, wait, say that again. When I got older, I discovered devices, and the only devices that they had at that time was a TTY. But now in this time, this was like in the 80s. Communication wasn't like it is today. So technology has really come a long way in the last, I would say, 5 years, but it's still fresh to us. So I'm looking forward to the next 25 years to see what's coming our way. So thank you for that question, Rachel. I think we have time for one more question, if there's anyone else. Or does anyone else want to respond to Rachel's question? All right, I tried. Okay, well then I would, what did you say again? Oh. So Petra will go ahead and do the summary. And there may be questions.
Okay, so let's do a quick summary of what we heard or whom we have got to know on the podium. First of all, can everybody see? Okay, and the interpreter as well. You want to come closer? Yeah, okay, okay. So, Aaron, we can recognize you by your glittering blue jacket. And we can come and see you later if anybody has more questions. You told us about ThinkSelf, your project from Minnesota. It's a grassroots project from 40 years ago. And the main focus is it's for and by deaf people. Currently you have 7 people on staff and 30 others have already moved on and are now doing their thing somewhere else in the world. So you're spreading the good things. What are you offering? You're offering to people in Minnesota, they're coming in and out, and there are refugees and people who have a lot of trauma. And deaf people with a lot of trauma need direct contact to someone who also speaks sign language. So you're trying to be close to the people who need support by offering direct sign language support. For instance, in hospitals or in women's shelters. So people who have negative or traumatic experiences get support directly by deaf people so they don't have to go through an interpreter. And if an interpreter is necessary, I heard something about supportive technologies for the deaf. So what you just said at the end, technology has improved, so you can also provide this to the deaf community in Minnesota. Correct? Okay. So, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, who was next? Ali, you were next. Is that correct? Okay. Ali told us about DeafTawk, and it is also for deaf people in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and surrounding countries who are excluded from information. There are so many deaf people, and I drew a wall and a person standing behind the wall, and then an information mark on the other side. So this is the symbol for the deaf people who have not access to information. And your solution is two-sided. One is you have an app, an application you can use on your phone. And for instance, you can do group calls. in this app. You can have scheduled calls with this app and other features. So there's a very easy to use app, from what I understood. And you've done this for 3 years and 97,000 users. Is that correct? Okay, so it's a lot of people you have reached already. You're providing your services to global clients and are still expanding. And the second supportive solution you're offering is somewhere where you can convert text to sign language and sign language to text, or voice to sign language and sign language to voice. So this is, did I capture that correctly? Okay, so I did the arrows wrong. Okay, so text to sign language and voice to sign language. Okay, I just misinterpreted some arrows, I'm sorry. Yeah, your team consists of people with disabilities, so it's a very inclusive, power to the people project, yeah, to make sure that deaf people have access to information. And then I think, James, you were next, right? James told us about LoHo learning. It's quality education, and you said it's bridging gaps of information. So I drew a river or a gap with a bridge over it. The main tool you're using are ebooks in sign language, and the aim is to create accessible learning materials for deaf people. And there are 80 plus deaf people who are using your devices and your services. Is that correct?
80 schools.
Schools, okay. I thought I missed something. So I'll add that. So 80 schools, and also their parents. The parents of the pupils are also being supported with your solutions. Yeah, and you also told us a little bit about the funding, how you're doing this, because it might be interesting to the audience. So a lot with partnerships and also with licenses. You give out licenses for the ebooks, I guess. And so you can fund this support. And so deaf learners in Kenyan Sign Language, until now it's all Kenyan Sign Language, right? Okay. So the deaf learners have access to ebooks in sign language. What a great thing. Yeah. So, thank you. That was from Ali. And last but not least, Michal from Czech Republic. You told us about Deafcom. And Deafcom, to summarize it, it provides remote services to deaf people and targets deaf leaders, deaf persons who need to be in communication on a constant basis. And one of the services is a call center where people can call, and then it's interpreted into sign language remotely so that people can receive calls and get access to sign language interpreters. And I think we heard a lot about the lack of interpreters. So it's a good thing, so you bridge a gap as well by providing sign language interpretation via a call center. And then there is a specialized software. I drew a picture with 011000. So it's programmed specially so that deaf people can actually do these incoming and outgoing calls and also do some reservations, for instance. So it provides like independence to the deaf people without the need of an interpreter sometimes. It's a secure platform for public and private organizations, and 30,000 people, did I get that correct? 30,000 users? Interpreting sessions, okay? So again, a huge number, and this is only in Czech Republic. For all countries?
This is for all countries where we work, and the thing is that we empower more like the deaf people and people who are running those services to run those services on our platform.
Okay, so again, power to the people. I think that's the last sentence I'm going to say, and I'll hand the microphone back to the interpreter. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Petra. I really love seeing this activity. Um, so I've not seen it in the past. So to see this live and see the words put in visually is really inspiring. So thank you. Speaking of thanking you, I'd like to thank Wilford, who's all the way in the back, for inviting me 3 weeks ago to come. It was it was a mad rush to get here, but I'm here. And I also would like to thank my colleagues and close friends, Sarah and Amy, for facilitating communication for me today. So thank you. Thank them for that. I also want to thank the captionists for providing caption for all of our sessions up to now, and the interpreters, the international interpreters, so for providing inclusion for us. And so, I also want to thank my three panelists for the work that you're doing for the deaf and hard of hearing community and the deaf world. So thank you. So please find us if you want more information or if you have questions. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your conference.